Thank you very much for those very kind words and a good afternoon to all of you. Honorable Minister of Tourism, Culture and Honor, Shri G. Kishan Reddy, Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Shri Arvind Singh, the distinguished secretaries of Ministries of Textile, Culture, Environment and Forest. Now, when I look back at my childhood, I think there were two things that created my wanderlust and my love of travel. First of all, my mother used to have a habit of collecting souvenirs from her travels. She collected almost everything, postcards from every location she visited, menu cards of local restaurants, monogrammed paper napkins, tourist brochures, and all kinds of miscellaneous things like that. And then she would make a scrapbook out of almost every trip. And my two sisters and I would eagerly wait for her to complete these, and then we'd pore over them again and again. The second element was that I attended a boarding school in Ooty, in Tamil Nadu, and camping and trekking were part of the educational process. So once again, this reinforced my enjoyment of new places, particularly those that were off the beaten track. So it wasn't surprising that during my teenage years, just after I finished school, I began hitchhiking along with one of my college buddies, and frankly, it wasn't surprising that my parents didn't try to stop me from doing that, given their own love for adventure. Most often, we'd take off on impulse on a weekend and hitch rides from Mumbai to Pune and beyond in Maharashtra. You have to recognize, of course, that those were the days of innocence, before the onset of terrorism and strong security concerns, and of course, pandemics. So people wouldn't hesitate to give us rides in their Premier Padmanis or Hindustan ambassadors. There were only two choices then. And very often friendly truck drivers would tell us to jump on board onto their cargo platforms. And I distinctly remember the most colorful memory, or maybe I should say sensory memory, was hitching a ride on a truck with a cargo of beedi, with the strong aroma of the cargo. And I think at the end of the trip, I suspect we might have inhaled the equivalent of several packs of beedi, but I'll never forget that memory and that aroma. Now, when I was in college in the US, as you observed, in 1975, I took a leave of absence for a whole semester to do a photography project, and I traveled all around India taking state transport. I spent Diwali in Amritsar at the Gold, this Kara, which I still wear. And I was on a bus to Madurai when the great leader Kamraj expired. And I remember witnessing the profound, almost uncontrollable grief that the citizens of the state were undergoing. I got a deep understanding of people from that trip. But let me fast forward to more recent years. I began to afford much more comfortable holidays, as it were. And my family and I have experienced premium, innovative experiences that Indian hoteliers have devised. So I've really seen both ends of the experience spectrum when it comes to traveling in our great country. And I think that illustrates one important fact. India is for everyone. It has incredible travel experiences for people both on modest budgets as well as for those looking for the height of luxury. And this idea of comprehensiveness, completeness extends even to the range of terrain and climate that India offers. You can indulge in skiing trips in magnificent Gulmarg, or you can take splendid boat rides in the backwaters of steamy tropical Kerala. So therefore, seen from the perspective of a travel menu, as it were, I think India is more of a continent than a country. And it's therefore no surprise that the tourism industry generated, I think, about 6.8% of India's GDP in 2019, supported 8% of total employment. So it's a major growth driver. But there's one more powerful benefit of domestic tourism. Not just a potential employment generator and money spinner, but it's a very, very powerful way for national integration. Let me share one of my favorite anecdotes. When we opened the Goa resort on Varka beach of Club Mahindra, I was there for the opening. And I remember lolling about in the swimming pool, and I could see that on one end, there was a boisterous Punjabi family The other end, there was another family from the south speaking in Tamil. There was a local Goan couple, and there was a family that had come all the way from Kashmir. So the fact is that when I looked at this, I remember telling the head of the resort, I said, can we start some kind of Facebook for Club Mahindra visitors? Can we create some kind of online connectivity between alumni of visits to the hotels? Because I just had this wonderful sense that if they all kept together, what if all those families in that pool kept together all these years, they kept in touch? Maybe their children could even get married. Who knows? There would be such a strong knitting together of this country. But anyway, enough of those kinds of idealistic speculations. Let's speak about international inbound tourism, and that is overseas visitors to India. Because we have to recognize that even though our tourism competitiveness position rose from something like 65th in 2013 to 34th in 2018, much smaller and much less diverse countries still outstrip us. In 2019, we had less than the number of tourists who visited Thailand or even Vietnam. Now, there's been much brainstorming and analysis of how to increase India's market share of global travelers. And, many options and great ideas have been generated. As developed countries struggle with costs and price rises, I believe that major windows of opportunity are going to open up for new kinds of specialty tourism, medical tourism, wellness and meditation tourism, tourism that involves participating in environmentally friendly rural lifestyle. And all of these have great potential for tourism. But today, this event gives a clue of one other kind of differentiated or specialty tourism that India does have a competitive advantage in. And I like to call it artisanal tourism, where tourists can visit clusters of habitations where perhaps just one special art or craft has thrived, and hence the whole village or city is defined by that specialization. Such clusters are frankly a treasure trove, not just for shopping, but also for the study and understanding of history, the evolution of society and economics. Channapatna in Karnataka for toys, Badhoi for carpet, Pipli for applique handicrafts, and as we see today, Pochampalli for beautiful ikat fabrics. In fact, may I give my compliments to Pochampalli for winning this prestigious classification by the United Nations, and may it lead to greater recognition and prosperity for its inhabitants. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, when you put all of this rich diversity of experiences together, I think we can claim something that no one can challenge. India is not a country, nor perhaps is it just a continent as I suggested earlier. India is a state of mind. And I say to everyone in the world, that if you allocate at least some part of your life to enter into that state of mind, your life will be greatly richer. Thank you.